The history of the Puddle Jumper. Puddle jumpers are a small spacecraft created by the ancients. Several of these ships were discovered in various hangars in Atlantis, and are used by the Atlantis Expedition for various purposes. Puddle jumpers feature fully retractable thrusters that allow them to travel through Stargate, as well as powerful drone weapons for self-defense and a cloaking device to avoid detection. They are operated via neural interface, and so the ancient technology activation gene is required to activate and pilot the ship. The name Puddle Jumper is a combination of a visual pun on the ship's ability to travel through an event horizon of a Stargate, an action also referred to as threading the needle, which resembles a pool of water, and the reference to the slang term puddle jumper on Earth, which means a small plane intended for short-distance flights. It was coined by Major John Shepard, an experienced pilot who found a serendipitous double meaning when describing the craft. The nomenclature of the ship was immediately protested by Dr. Rodney McKay and Lieutenant Ford, who preferred gate ship, although their suggestion was rejected. As such, the name Puddle Jumper stuck and continued to be used to this day. The Assyrians referred to these ships as gate ships, possibly indicating that the ancients also called them that in their language. However, the Wraith are shown to refer to them as jumpers or lantern jumpers. The design of the Puddle Jumper is a small, roughly cylindrical shape with an angled front and rear, allowing it to fit perfectly through open stargates. The front section contains the cockpit of the vessel with all control features, 4 seats for passengers, and a large viewport at the front of the ship. The aft section contains passengers and storage area with a hatch in the back to access the ship. Similar to the Teltec, this ship is split into 2 sections, the cockpit and the cargo hold, with the bulkhead door to separate them. This door is quite strong, capable of holding back the pressure of the deep ocean water and retaining atmosphere in space. Puddle jumpers can also be used as bombers by attaching explosives to the bottom of the craft and later releasing them. There are also lights built into the jumpers underneath for seeing underwater. Jumpers gating into Atlantis go into autopilot upon entering a certain distance of the gate. Puddle jumpers are susceptible to electromagnetic fields, which can actually disrupt their systems enough to disable them if the field is strong enough. The Puddle Jumper's weapon systems consists of at least 12 drone weapons that are housed in 2 weapons pods located on both sides. These pods must be extended before the drone can be fired. The drones, like the jumpers themselves, can be controlled by the pilot's thoughts. Even without significant power source such as a ZMP, the drone weapons in the Puddle Jumpers are very powerful. One is able to destroy a building-sized asteroid and a Wraith dart completely. Furthermore, like all drones, they can strike a target multiple times. For example, only one drone striking 3 times can penetrate the hull of a Wraith cruiser. The drones additionally have the ability to bypass certain types of shields, notably those of the goa'uld Hatak. Additionally, they seem to be able to seek out key systems. 2 drones fired at a Hatak by a Puddle Jumper were able to completely destroy it. A Puddle Jumper has no true defense shields at all, suggesting that it was designed to be an exploration and trading ship. Its only defense consists of an advanced cloaking generator capable of masking the ship both to the naked eye and to sensors, much like those on the goa'uld Teltecs and Alkash, although far smaller and more powerful. The Jumper's cloak cannot be penetrated by the Wraith, Tauri, the goa'uld, or Asgard sensors. Apart from the sensors of the ZPM-powered hive ship, the cloak conceals the full interior of the vessel and its occupants, even if the hatch is open. The Jumper's cloak is not limited to the size of the craft, as it can be extended around other objects. Time machine. An ancient scientist named Janus created at least one Puddle Jumper known as a time jumper, which is capable of time travel by means of a device installed in the cargo hold. In the main timeline, this experimental technology was banned by the Atlantean Council in order to prevent dangers associated with time travel. A time jumper was encountered by the Atlantis Expedition in the alternate timeline and the Stargate Council in the current timeline. Control crystals. Puddle jumpers, like other ancient technologies, utilize crystals to control its systems. These crystals are located in the rear section of the ship, behind the bench seats, and in the panels hanging from the ceiling. As most control crystals go to the rear section of the puddle jumper, it is possible to control the ship from that location as well. The control crystals, such as the ones for the cloaking generator, can be removed from a jumper and implemented on other ancient ships, such as Atlantis. Thank you for watching the history of the puddle jumper. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you can. If you already did, thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye. Hello, and welcome to the history of the time jumper. The time jumper is a puddle jumper capable of time travel. It was built, or at least configured, by a Atlantean scientist named Janus to make use of the device that he invented and installed in the cargo hold. In the main timeline, this experimental, although extremely successful technology was banned by the Atlantean Council in order to prevent dangers associated with time travel. Atlantis Expedition. In an alternate timeline, members of the Atlantis Expedition discovered a special puddle jumper in the Atlantis Jumper Bay, one which was capable of time travel. In that reality, the expedition had suffered tragically immediately upon arriving at the Atlantic City, because the shield had begun to fail from lack of power, causing the city to flood. Desperate and with no method of escape, the alternate versions of Major John Shepard, Dr. Elizabeth Weir, and Dr. Zelenka sealed themselves in this jumper as the jumper bay flooded. They subsequently activated the time device by accident. They traveled 10,000 years into the past, arriving at the final days of the Ancients' war with the Wraith. Orbiting Wraith ships seizing Atlantis mistook the newly arrived time jumper for a contemporary Atlantean craft and opened fire, causing the jumper to crash land on Lantea. The alternate Shepard and Zelenka were both killed in the crash, but the alternate Weir and the jumper itself were rescued by the ancients inhabiting Atlantis, including Janus. Meeting a woman from 10,000 years in the future prompted the Atlantean Council's decision to ban further time travel research, thus changing the timeline, such that Janus's prototype would no longer be left behind for the expedition to find. Fortunately, Janus ensured that the expedition would also be saved from drowning in the new timeline. Stargate Command. An identically equipped puddle jumper, equally capable of time travel, was later discovered by SG-1. Abandoned on a planet in the Milky Way galaxy, this newly discovered ship's time travel device was visually and functionally identical to the Janus prototype, implying that in the new timeline, Janus chose to disobey the Atlantean Council's ban on time travel research. This jumper was later used by SG-1 as a means of traveling back in time to ancient Egypt in order to steal a zero-point module from Ra. After SG-1 was killed by Ra, with the exception of Dr. Daniel Jackson, who survived in ancient Egypt, the alternate SG-1 from the future traveled back in time using the same jumper found in Egypt to restore the timeline that the original SG-1 had altered in the past. The time jumper was used by General Jack O'Neill and Vala Maldoran to travel back in time to rescue SG-1 after a solar flare left them trapped in the past, at the same time taking a detour to rescue a crashed Asgard. During the adventure, Loki destroyed the time machine part of the jumper and trapped SG-1 in an alternate 1947, created when Lieutenant Colonel Cameron Mitchell and Vala Maldoran were stuck in 1908. After stopping an attack on Earth by Ra, SG-1 used another time travel device to return to 1908 to rescue Mitchell and Vala, and then return to their own time. Also, the time jumper collided with a goa'uld Hatak in 1908, destroying it, Tunguska impact, and preventing a goa'uld attack on Earth. Eventually repaired after Loki's actions, the time jumper was stolen by 3 rogue Tok'ra in 2008 to undertake a mission to save their species by convincing Agra to spawn more Tok'ra. They kidnapped Dr. Carolyn Lamb, who had the ancient technology activation gene to pilot it. But SG-1 followed them through time to 2492 BC, using the Solar Observation Outpost on Praxion, eventually recovering the jumper and after driving away Ra, using it to return to the present. Alternate timeline. When the goa'uld Hecate attempted to take control of the Milky Way galaxy, she initially attempted to destroy SG-1, but when she realized that her plans required someone with the ability to use the ancient technology, she went back in time and set up the Stargate so that SG-1 would be trapped in an elliptical orbit of a black hole, sending them into the future rather than killing them. Learning that there was a time-traveling gate ship on Atlantis, Colonel Jack O'Neill and Major Samantha Carter were able to use the ship to go back in time and prevent the circumstances that led them to traveling through the rigged Stargate. This merely created an alternate timeline rather than erasing the future that they had witnessed. O'Neill and Carter subsequently used the time jumper to return to the future of the timeline Hecate created to defeat her and save the Earth of that future. Thank you for watching the history of the time jumper. Special thanks to the Fandom Stargate Wiki page for information gathered. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you can. If you already have, then thank you. And have a great day. Bye-bye.